Okay, number 4. Beechwoods has a question. How is the good thief in Luke 23:42 saved? It's interesting that you call him the good thief. I've never heard him mentioned as that. He died without knowing Jesus' resurrection. Jesus tells him, today you will be with me in paradise, but Christ doesn't rise for 3 days. Confused. Okay, totally understandable, confused. Let's look at the passage. Luke 23:42. All right, this passage says, I'm going to back up just a little bit, okay? And first let's notice this, that we know from one of the other gospels, I don't remember which one right now, but one of the other gospels, which tells us that these two thieves, who it's a generic word for criminals, they were some sort of horrible criminal that they would be getting crucified for it, right? That seems fair to understand. And they both mocked Jesus when he was first on the cross. But of course, while Jesus was on the cross, a number of really amazing things happened. And during that time, seeing those amazing things happen, seeing the character of Jesus, this one of the thieves, one of the two, he has a change of heart and he turns to believe in Jesus. And so what does he do? Let's look at how, after he had his change of heart, how he reacts. So one of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other, that's who you're calling the good thief. I don't know if I call him good, but I know what you mean. Rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you were under the same sentence of condemnation?" And let's look at what he says. And indeed, on your screen, sorry about that. And indeed, justly. That he says, we deserve to be crucified. You and me, we're not being wrongly killed by Rome. Like, we are real bad criminals and we're getting what we deserve. For we are receiving the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong. And he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." What has just happened in these two verses is absolutely amazing. This thief recognizes he is a sinner who rightly deserves to die. Did you catch that? Talk about the gospel. And he then turns to Jesus and he acknowledges that Jesus is innocent, which means that Jesus really was the prophet of God, really is the Son of God. The thing that he's accused of being the king of the Jews, it's actually true. He is the king of the Jews. And then he acknowledges Jesus as king. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. So Jesus is king. He has received ultimately as much of the gospel as was known at the time. He even believes that Jesus on the cross, even though he's dying, he's undefeated. This is some kind of work of God in the life of the thief. Like, this guy has, in a sense, he's got more faith than the disciples right now who felt defeated upon the death of Jesus. This guy sees Jesus dying on the cross, and that's where he starts to believe in Jesus. I think he's the biggest light bulb moment in the gospel, is the one who sees the cross as, sees Jesus on the cross, and there on the cross recognizes his messiahship. It's a beautiful and amazing thing. So how is he saved? He believed as much about Jesus as he had revealed to him. This is how Abraham was saved. In Romans chapter 4, this is what you should read for homework, right? Romans 4, Abraham believed and was justified apart from works. He just believed God. Now, what did he know? He just knew that in his offspring, all the nations of the world would be blessed. He didn't really know all the details about Jesus, but God had spoken and he had trusted it, and he put faith in God, and that faith brought salvation. And then later, of course, when Abraham heard more about Jesus, he immediately believed and received it because he'd already been believing Jesus. He just didn't know all the details yet. So this is how that guy was saved. Now, another question you kind of put in here is, why does Jesus say, "Today you'll be with me in paradise," but Christ doesn't rise for 3 days? I think paradise seems like a fluid term to me, and this is my thoughts on this. I'm not 100% settled on it, but I think that paradise seems like a fluid term to me. It's not meant that paradise is one location that's always in it's always in one location, but rather paradise is a happy eternal experience, happy afterlife experience, and that location changed over time. In my opinion, not all Christians agree on this. The location before Jesus died on the cross was somewhere like down, or at least metaphorically down, and they would go and be in Abraham's comfort, the same place Abraham went when he died, and they're being comforted by the father of faith, Abraham. And so this guy is going to be in that happy location. When Jesus dies, then that location changes, and it goes into the presence of the Father because now Jesus has made the way. So they're not waiting on the Messiah to come. He has come, and he leads them free into the presence of the Father. So then in Revelation or in 2 Corinthians, when Paul talks about dying, he's like, hey, I'm going to be in the presence of God, not in this just happy place in the presence of, say, Abraham or others who had faith when they died. I'll be in the very presence of God because Jesus has made the way. So paradise has changed places, but it's the experience of the happy afterlife that paradise is talking about. That's my current thinking on that. The thief went with Jesus into that location. He died that day to preach to those souls who had already been waiting on Christ and already died, and even those probably who'd rejected Christ. You can read about that in 1 Peter. I'm sharing too many things, aren't I? It's getting too complicated. But then that thief would have been taken with Jesus along with the rest into the presence of the Father now that the way had been made. That would be my current understanding on that, and my answer to you.